All right, late night live stream. Now, right now, at least in the UFC, WMMA is pretty hot. Things are heating up. There's an increase in drama right now with the females. And I want to go over a little bit of it. Rose being asked about what she thinks about fighting Valentina Shevchenko. And she's open to fighting. And I've always known this. They said this a long time ago. Rose was talking about this a long time ago. And things are getting kind of weird in WMMA. Like the potential for this fight. Now, I don't know. Maybe the females felt like they were getting boring because they were. I mean, WMMA, at least in the UFC, had hit an all-time low not long ago. We're just now coming off an all-time low. So maybe it's a case of anything having the potential to surprise us. But I believe things truly are getting kind of strange and things are heating up. There's a lot of drama. Okay. She said she's a warrior and she would always want to test herself against the best. So if it gets to that point, like she wants to test herself, I want to test myself. She's a true martial artist. Rose babbles a lot, man. A very boring interview, boring on the mic. Usually. Every now and then, Rose might have a lively moment on the microphone, but for the most part, man, next story. Now, they just gave a contract to this girl who got rejected on the Dana White Contender Series. I think she's about to make her debut and get beaten up. I mean, what is this? Sarcasm? You want another fighter to debut against Lucindo? Just not gonna stop till somebody gets hurt. Listen, man, Lucindo is a natural fighter. Y'all better be careful with that girl. She is a natural fighter. There are not many natural fighters in the WMMA at all. Most girls just don't know how to fight naturally. They don't have a natural instinct or talent for fighting. And of course, I'm going to take Lucindo. Now, Dana White criticized her for not going for a stoppage. And at the time, I thought that was a smart thing for Dana to do. I felt like that's a good way to put pressure on the females. But then he turns heel and offers this same girl a contract like a week later. Okay, way to go, Dana. She could have waited. Some of these young girls can wait. Wouldn't have even been a full year. But anyway, Erin Blanchfield has done some interviews and she's talking about people. She feels like she's done enough to get a title shot. And she told Manon, if I have to beat her up as well, I'll do that. So as expected, Erin thinks she can beat Manon. Manon said that she wasn't impressed. And I know that Erin herself has been reading or has read or has heard some of the criticisms of her performance. Like the one you see here. Clinching for 8 minutes is not a huge deal in the UFC. She's taken some, I would say, unexpected criticism for that performance. After the fight, I thought people would sort of warm up to Erin, despite it being lackluster, because she beat Taylor in a more dominant or convincing fashion than Valentina Shevchenko. That was the whole point of the fight. I said before the fight, if Erin get dusted off, there goes the possibility or thought of Erin defeating Valentina. No, but the possibility of Erin defeating Valentina is extremely real. Now, let me interject real quick. Speaking of Valentina Shevchenko, Valentina is not that old. She might have an easy 7 more years to go as a professional fighter, maybe. And I suspect we're about to see her lose to fighters that we just didn't expect her to lose or not to even be challenged by. Now, I think Shevchenko has the tools and skill to dominate Erin. But I can also see Erin wrestling Valentina's head off. Now, Shevchenko has pretty good takedown defense, but I wouldn't trust it. I think that would be a tough fight for Valentina. And I think Valentina herself is going to end up losing to fighters who she herself never thought she'd lose to. Some fighters who maybe even she thought she was far superior than, like a Weili Zhang. I don't know what happens in that fight. I do not know what happens. Now, as far as I'm aware, probably because I'm a content creator, and a lot of content creators, they don't pay much attention to other content creators and what they're creating. They're just focused on their own material. But as far as I'm aware, I was one of the first people to talk about how Rose is going to be a problem for Manon. And now I think more and more people starting to realize it. And this is one of those fights where, gambling wise, the closer you get to the fight, you see the odds shift more in Rose's favor, where she's more, well, I don't even know what the odds are. But listen, this is a dangerous fight for Manon, and it's a true test of her skill as a striker. Rose is another fighter who I think we're about to see suffer a bunch of losses. I don't know what Rose is doing, but I don't know if she's just needs money. I always thought she was close to retirement. That was one of my predictions, that she would retire soon. But I have no idea what she's doing. This fight makes no sense to me. I expected her to pull out of this fight. And I still think that's a possibility. I just don't trust Rose. I don't trust her. Now, I could be wrong. But listen, as a fighter, sometimes she shows up and her head is in the fight. When that happens, she is very competitive. So why wouldn't she be against Manon? The question is, what does Rose plan on doing? And did Rose choose Manon because Manon is the least likely to want to take you down? I would say no. Rose can't hide from grapplers. She can't hide from wrestlers in either division. You still got Carla at 115. You got Suarez. Now, other than that, you got Verna there. Mackenzie Dern. People have talked about that fight. And at 125, you got Erin Blanchfield. You got Santos. You got Manon Fiora. And that's the problem. Why would she choose Manon, of all fighters, as her comeback opponent? Why would she choose Manon? People, it is because she is trying to make up for that historic stinker. She knows it's only fitting that she looks good in her very next fight. So it's probably best for Rose to fight a striker. But Manon will still take you down. But against Rose, Manon will want to prove that she's a better striker. So that's where Manon's going to have problems, because that's a source of motivation for Rose to sort of erase the shame from that stinker against Carla. In her mind, it's like, what do I have to lose? I'm going to go in here and try my best to knock her out, to punish her. I'm going to let her feel the full onslaught of my offense. I think it's very easy for Rose to get motivated for a fight like this, especially for a person with the mentality of Rose, like Rose's mentality. This is just the type of thing that she would need to motivate her. And Manon is very upright. I have always thought Manon is vulnerable to straight shots, especially when they're off a clever angle. Similar to how she was kicked against Jennifer Maya. And I can see Manon getting caught in moments here. So Manon needs to fight Rose like this is the fight of her life. Do not half step. If Manon half steps, that might be exactly what Rose needs to capitalize on. She underestimate Rose even just a little bit, it could backfire. So, interesting development. We'll see if Rose pulls out or she goes through with the fight. Now, Weili Zhang has assumed the number one spot on the pound for pound list. This seemed to come out of nowhere. This was not the move that they made initially. This very recently happened, at least I think, from what I remember. Unless I'm losing my mind, I saw this thing updated, but Grazo was still number one. But no matter. I don't think these fighters care if they're number one. And actually, they have Weili and Alexa both at number one. I don't understand that. No, Alexa's number two. You remove her photo, you put Weili's up there, then Weili's number one. They must want Weili number one. Look, maybe Weili deserves it. Grazo got a premature title shot. It's premature. And she hasn't made any defenses. I mean, at least Weili's defended the title. Weili is a two-time champ, and she actually had to fight. Weili sort of got a fast track to the title, too. And a fast track to the rematch, we'll be honest. So both fighters probably got a little preferential treatment. But I wouldn't get too comfortable about who's number one. I think it's going to change. It's going to rotate off and on. You're going to see a fighter here, fighter there. But there's about to be a lot of fighters taking losses. We're going to say goodbye to all these undefeated fighters And these girls going to take a lot of lumps. And they're going to hash it out to see who's the next dominant champion. I don't know if I see the next dominant champion yet. Maybe Suarez. That's still a possibility. Maybe a second reign for Valentina. That's not out of the question. Maybe a reign for Grasso. We'll see. I'm going to get one of these predictions. I'm going to get more than one wrong. I'm telling y'all that now. You know, if Grasso makes multiple defenses, that's a missed prediction because I said it wouldn't be Grasso. Okay, it would not be Alexa Grasso or Weili Zhang. Title going to change hands definitely at 115. But now it's looking like the same thing's about to start happening at 125. And let's not even talk about 135. I just want this thing to be over with Silva. And they need to apologize to Silva for, I don't know, smearing her name. That's so goofy. Riddling, stop. Get out of here. I'm not trying to hear nothing about no stupid riddling that you took a week ago. What? It's not what people do when they trying to cheat. That is ridiculous. You see? It was updated. And Grasso was still number one. But even then, they had a number one beside both of their names. Maybe they're both ranked at number one, so they'll swap back and forth with their photos. I don't know. But this is a young man's, young woman's sport. One thing we know, Shevchenko has to age. All these fighters have to age, have to grow old. Make way for the young bucks. And we're close to that point for some of these fighters. We'll see how long they can last. If Shevchenko really has 7 more years, then she has plenty of time to create an unbelievable UFC record, as well as all the other fighters, Weili Zhang and several others. We'll see who actually does that. I will leave you with one thing. I like this feud between Erin Blanchfield and Manon Fiora. Oh yes, I like this little dust up. But boy, oh boy, Natalia Silva is a bad matchup for Erin Blanchfield. If you ever want to be worried for Erin Blanchfield, put her in against that little monster, that little Brazilian monster. Well, I have a bad feeling she would light into Erin Blanchfield's whole entire buttocks. Boy, she would knock more holes into her buttocks. She'll leave that fight with 4 rectums, 4 anuses. Look, styles make fights. Styles make fights. And I would not want Erin Blanchfield nowhere. If Erin was my fighter, I wouldn't want her nowhere near Natalia Silva. And Silva's not the only fighter. Okay, as I look, I'm a huge fan of Blanchfield, especially when how can you not be right now? Talking to her as confident as she talking and looking the way she looking. And she's very young. It's pretty incredible. It's an incredible moment. But you know that the possibility of somebody humbling her is high. It's very high with defensive liabilities like that. It's only a question of who is going to be the first fighter to do it. Now, I don't know if she'll be the first, middle, or the last. But stay away from Natalia Silva, man. Horrible style matchup for an Erin Blanchfield. And really, Manon, Fiora. But I honestly think Silva got better boxing than Manon. I don't like the way Manon sort of tumbles in with her strikes. Sort of falls in and falls towards her opponent as she's winging these shots. I would like to see her have more control over her posture and, sort of stop throwing herself out of position. It's kind of what got her kicked in the face by Jennifer Maia. But, all fighters got little mistakes and whatnot they need to work on. And, I'd like to see them work on it. Red Corner MMA just released a short documentary on Valentina's return. Okay. Yeah, I have to check that out. Buttocks, goodness. I think I heard that technique. Okay, yeah. But anyway, a lot of drama. They've signed a few new fighters. Here's one. A new bantamweight, Nora. Now, I've checked out her fights. I wasn't that impressed. Sorry, I wasn't that impressed. But it's refreshing to see new fighters. And to be honest, it's refreshing to see Rose at 125. If she goes through with it. If she goes through with it, let me rephrase that. And does well. Now, it has nothing to do with me being a fan of her or not. UFC gets my money. So I don't want to watch a Rose fight and then be disappointed. Just perform. Don't stare. Don't dance. Don't ballet. Don't go in there and play the piano. We come to watch. I'm paying you to fight. As long as Rose fights, I don't have a problem with her. No problem with her at all. And I am going to go over that video. Shout out to somebody who shared that video with me. Back when I called Rose out for that better dead than red comment she made. She recently did an interview where she basically admits that she knew that she was spreading racist, white supremacist code language. I kid you not. She basically admits this. Those of you who seen that video, you know exactly what I'm talking about. And it vindicates me because a lot of people thought I was going over the edge. And this video lets you know that when she was saying that Christ consciousness, that was all coded messages, coded language. Now, I don't know about Rose at 125, man. I've seen some people talking about how she looks. I still say she could have made 105. She's looking heavy and wide around the hips and lower torso area to me. Okay, all of this down here, this is kind of spreading. See the obliques trying to bulge out over there? I don't know about this, man. I don't know about this. She says she walks around at 135. She was at 135 against Jillian. I thought she looked horrible at 135. Will she look much different at 125? What if she comes in here and looks just out of shape? Like she hasn't lifted any weights in her move up to 125. Like she just packed on some fat and got in the cage. We'll see. I'm curious to see how she looks, how she moves, how she fights, especially coming off a stinking fight in her last performance. And knowing that she's in there with somebody who's really, truly genuinely trying to take her head off, that's going to force Rose to fight. That is going to be a problem for Manon. Now, I'm going to take Manon, but Rose can beat Manon, in my opinion. I think Rose can beat anybody. More importantly, she can stop anybody, especially early, almost always only early in fights. So we'll see. Let's just at least hope for a good fight, and let's hope for a fight. Dealing with Rose might not get a fight at all. That is all for this live stream.